actually, he is working at Lactalis, and he has been working in INRAE before. And during the time that he worked in INRAE, he had a strong partnership with us. He has been working together with Innovalate and spent a lot of time here in Viçosa. During 3 years, we had a project, and he spent 2 months every year here with us to help us to construct our project in these dry matters. Donc, Pierre, thank you. Merci beaucoup d'être là avec nous.
De nada.
Je vais passer pour toi maintenant, c'est à toi de jouer.
C'est bon, l'écran est partagé, vous le voyez?
Oui, oui.
Ok. Bon, ben, je démarre. Ok. Boa tarde a todo. Sou muito feliz para estar com você. Sou obrigado às organizações, mas eu falo pouco português. So now I will speak in English.
Et Pierre, juste un moment, s'il te plaît. Juste parce qu'on est en train de te voir, pas ton écran en entier, on est en train de voir deux écrans. Donc, il faut juste...
Ah oui, alors je ne sais pas pourquoi.
Paramètres d'affichage, tu vas dans paramètres d'affichage et donc basculer entre les deux présentations de diaporama.
Ah, ça doit être mieux là, comme ça.
Oui, merci beaucoup.
De nada. Ok, so thank you again for this invitation. I am very, very happy to be with you. So for this very first presentation in internet, I would like to talk about three small topics. One about the water balance on spray drying. The second part about some energy losses, to explain that it's very important to try to determine the energy losses in your spray dryer. And last part, which is very, very important, is to explain the principle of the explosion and to try to avoid to exploit your spray dryer. So has this introduction, a short introduction about the different process that you have to use to make powders, dairy and food powders. So normally we start every time from liquid, and after you have to realize one on more heat treatments. After you can realize some cracking on the milk, on the dairy, by using, for example, microfiltration, ultrafiltration, nanofiltration, reverse osmosis, ion exchange, and electrodialysis. So all these processes are very important to separate the component of the milk to create new product and different product of milk. And after you can realize a vacuum evaporation by using vacuum concentration. After you can or not crystallize the lactose. You can or not to add some fat, and if you add fat, if you use non-cream, non-fat milk, it's important to make a homogenization. And after you can to spray dry your concentrate. But after, don't forget to take account the storage condition. And the storage condition is not often studied, but two parameters are very important for me. Two important parameters, which are the glass transition temperature and the water activity. And with these two parameters, you can determine the storage condition of your powders. And after that, don't forget that 99% of the powder have to be hydrated. And if the customer are happy for the hydration, is that all the process was realized in good condition. But if sometime the customer have a problem of hydration, about solubility, about wettability, about dispersion. Maybe it's a problem of the storage, or maybe a problem of the spray drying, or maybe a problem of the homogenization or lactose crystallization, vacuum concentration, and so on and so on. So it is very important to have a lot of knowledge, not only on spray drying, but you have a lot of knowledge on all the process that you have to realize, because don't forget that the effect of the heat treatment are very, very cumulative. But today, I have no 3 days to explain to you all the process, so I would like to talk only 3 points about spray drying. So, first part, some explanation on the water balances. So, just to explain, when I was a researcher, I have realized some experience on the determination on water balance. For example, if you can produce whey concentrate with a low lactose concentration rate, for example 20, and with a high concentration rate, for example 75, so you can try to dry these two concentrate in the same condition. So after you have the concentrate flow rate, the dry matter of this concentrate was at 52. You can determine after the quantity of water that you have in the concentrate. And after, if you know the airflow rate, and if you know the absolute humidity of the airflow of the air, so you can determine the quantity of the water that you have in the air, and you can determine the dry air flow rate. After, you can look that I have the same outlet air temperature, and after that, you can calculate the theoretical value of the outlet absolute humidity. For example, in this example, 28.5 grams of water for 1 kilogram of air. And after, if you can introduce a thermohygrometer in the outlet air, better after the back filter or the cyclones, you can measure the absolute humidity. And if the absolute humidity measured and calculated are the same, is that you have removed all the water, so you have no problem of stickiness in the chamber. If you have difference between calculate and measured, is that you start stickiness. And of course, I have start stickiness in the example 2 because the lactose crystallization was very bad, 20% versus 75. Don't forget that the maximum of the lactose concentration have to be at 80. Second example, in this example, the lactose crystallization rate was the same, 72. The dry matter was at 56, and I have dry in the same condition. The only change was the absolute humidity of the inlet air, because in my pilot plant, I had dehumidification or not of the inlet air. So in this example, I have 2 grams for the inlet air, or 15 grams of water for 1 kilogram of air. But after that, I have realized the same drying condition. I have used the same drying condition. I have calculated the absolute humidity, 16 grams for the example 3 and 28 for the example 4. And the measurement was the same with the dry air and not the same with the wet air. Of course, because more the air is wet, more you increase the risk to stick. So with these two examples, you can look that if you can realize water balance during the spray drying, it's possible to optimize your spray drying parameter. If the difference is very low between calculate and mesurate, is that you have removed all the water. If you have a modification of the measure outlet absolute humidity during the spray drying, is that you start stickiness. So for that, it is important to know what is the inlet air characterization in temperature, absolute humidity, enthalpy, and flow rate. The same after heating, to know the temperature, absolute humidity, enthalpy, and mass flow rate. After, it's important to know the characteristic of the concentrate in temperature, dry matter, and mass flow rate. And after, it is inlet, and for outlet, it is important to know the powder flow rate and the outlet air characterization every time in temperature, absolute humidity, relative humidity, enthalpy, and flow rate. So if the difference between absolute humidity between inlet and outlet, it's possible to use this difference to try to increase the production, so the powder flow rate. And if the delta between absolute humidity inlet and outlet decreases, that you start stickiness. Okay, so for that it is important to have only two devices: one mass flow rate for air. It's to determine the mass flow rate for the air and the concentrate. And it is important to have thermohygrometer in the inlet air in the inlet air and the outlet air. So to explain, it is important to compare the theoretical and real water balance in the outlet air. So for that, you have just to know the mass flow rate, the total solid content on the concentrate, and the water and air flow rate to determine the theoretical absolute humidity. And when you compare with the measured of absolute humidity, if it's only in my example, if the delta is below 2 grams of water for 1 kilogram of dry air, is that you don't stick. You have the picture, you can look the picture before and after the try with the good lactose crystallization, and you can look the picture with the try with the bad lactose crystallization. And in this example, the difference was more than 2 grams. So after that, I know that you like the enthalpic diagram, so it's for you. So you can look that when you increase the air, so when you increase the temperature of the air and after you dry, you can use the water balance to take account the variation of the weather condition, the variation of the inlet, outlet temperature, concentrate flow rate, and air flow rate. So by using the water balance, it's very easy and important to try to optimize every time your spray dryer. Second part, but it is in the same idea, is important to determine the energy losses, because when you have a very new spray dryer, normally the energy losses is no more than 1 or 2%. But in Lactalis group, but I'm sure that in the world we have new but not new spray dryer, and it is very important to have an idea of the energy losses to know if we have or not to have to invest to decrease this value. But if you want to decrease this value, it is important to have an idea of this value. So for that, it is very easy. Just to explain the theoretically and after the practically knowledge on spray drying. So theoretically, when the spray drying is a technique to remove water by using hot air. So you introduce a droplet, a wet droplet, for example, at 45 degrees Celsius with a relative humidity close to 100%. You introduce this droplet in the air at, for example, 200 degrees Celsius at 0.1% of relative humidity. So due to the gradient in temperature, the difference between the temperature, you have energy transfer from the air to the droplet. And in the opposite current, you have a water transfer for the droplet to the air due to the difference in relative humidity and in vapor pressure to produce powder. But every time when I talk to the student and when I realize some technical training, I say, okay, it's in ideal world. But in the ideal world, of course, if you remove only free water, you have just to spend 2,500 kilojoules to remove 1 kilogram of water. But it is only if you remove free water. But in the milk, you have not only free water, you have bound water, Okay, so you have to spend energy to delink the water from the molecule, for example, lactose, mineral, and so on, before to be evaporate. And the second part, you have to spend more energy because you have some energy losses. So, due, for example, a bad insulation of your spread wire. So, normally, it's not 2,500 kilojoules to remove 1 kilogram of water that you have to spend, but maybe 10% more, 5% more, and so on. So you have to increase the inlet air temperature or to decrease the concentrate flow rate. So just a focus today. Maybe if you want to invite me again, I can talk about the bound water, but today or this evening for us, I would like to talk about only the energy losses. So again, you have the enthalpic diagram. So you can look, 3 points are very important for enthalpic diagram. The characteristic of the air, the inlet air before heating. So after you heat, at, for example, 210 degrees Celsius, and you have the characterization of the air, inlet air, after heating. And after, if you dry only water, it is a isenthalpic reaction. So when you dry only water, you have no bound water. So normally, you can say that it is an isenthalpic reaction, and you can determine the outlet air after drying. But the problem, if you do that in your spread dryer, so if you can dry only water in your spread dryer, you can look that it is not isenthalpic. Why it is not isenthalpic? Because you have a part of energy that you lost with your spread dryer due to the bad insulation. So in the reality, maybe you have to heat at 240 degrees Celsius. So the difference between the enthalpy between the point at 200 degrees Celsius and 240 degrees Celsius is the energy losses. So you can determine the energy losses by using the enthalpic diagram or to use the INRA software that we have developed maybe 10 years ago now. Example, real example. Huh? So to do that, you need to realize energy and mass balance. So for example, theoretically, if you heat at 193 degrees Celsius, if you add 2 tons or 2,000 kilograms of water per hour that you want to evaporate, normally the outlet air temperature is at 86 degrees. You do the same in your spread dryer. For example, you keep constant the outlet air temperature at 86, the water flow rate at 2,000 kilograms per hour, and you observe the inlet air temperature. In this example, the inlet air temperature was not at 193, but 213 degrees Celsius. So with an easy calculation, you can say that the energy losses on this spread dryer is at 7.5. So since I work on spread drying maybe more 34 years, I have observed some energy losses from 1% to maybe less, to the maximum that I have seen is 30%, and it was not in Lactalis plants. So just to explain that it is very, very important to know what is the energy losses in your spread dryer, to know if you can, if you want to do some investment. Now, the last part is not the more funny part that I like to explain, but it is very, very important to repeat that the spread dryer are very, very dangerous. So just to explain, in a classical spread dryer, a lot of fire and explosion come from the heater system. More and more in the atomizer, in the sprayer, come from sometimes for chamber, for the integrate fluid bed, in the external fluid bed, in the fine line, in the back filter. So it's important to explain the explosion hexagon. So the explosion hexagon is just to explain the 6 parameters which realize the explosion. But before explosion, I have to talk about the fire triangle. So the fire triangle is the 3 steps to start fire. To do that, it is important to have a presence of oxygen. Second part, it is you have to have some combustible particles, and with a particle size diameter below 0.5 millimeter. And after, it is important to introduce some energy. So the name is the minimal ignition energy, which come from sparks, for example, heat surface, hot point, auto ignition, sorry for the mistake, auto ignition and incandescence particles. And after that, if more you have particle in suspension, if you have the concentration in a good range, between 20 to 100 gram for cubic meter, it is the ideal concentration, but it is the concentration that you have in the major spray dryer in the world. And if you are in confined spaces, you have explosion. Okay. And you have to know that the explosion is the rapid combustion which take account the 6 conditions that I have explained before. And just to explain to you that only 1 gram of powder can produce 1 liter of gas. So you can have an increase of the volume between 10 to maybe 30% of the volume in cubic meter. And this increase in volume increase the pressure for 1 to 8 bars in the spray dryer. And don't forget that normally, maybe you have to ask to the different suppliers. Today we have Gea, Tetra, and so on. But normally, the spray dryer can resist no more than 0.5, 0.8, 1 bars. So it is important to have explosion doors to avoid to destroy your spray dryer. So the different causes of explosion in the spray dryer, the number 8 is the static electricity. It is important to have a good earth connection. After the sparks which come from mechanical frictions. For example, the different causes come from external particles, powder deposits, external heat source, and more and more important is the malfunction of the cooling system, the spraying system, and more problem with the overflow of concentrate. More in rotary atomizer, but sometimes it's possible to have the same problem is nozzle, with nozzle systems. So the problem is the explosion hexagon is that in a spray dryer, you have the 5 on 6 conditions. We have oxygen, we have combustible particle, we have particle in suspension, we have the good concentration, and we are in confined space. The only condition that we haven't is the energy. So the idea is to avoid to produce energy. So just to explain that the food product at the minimal ignition energy between 50 to 100 millijoules. So it is more important than solvent and so on, but we have to be careful. So the minimum ignition energy can come from sparks. For rotary atomizer, for example, if the distance between the cone and the wheel are not so precise, normally it's 3 millimeters, more or less 0.5 millimeter. So we have to be careful with the mechanical friction. If we have a bad adjustment of the wheel, and if we have a lot of lactose, crystal lactose, it's possible to destroy the wheel, not in one day, but maybe in several months. After, we have to be careful with the electricity, static electricity, and be careful with the plastic pipe, plastic line, be careful with the welding, and be careful with the energy which comes from external heating, like a flashlight and welding as well. So the energy can come from incandescent particle, and sometimes you have some incandescent particle in the chamber, but after these particles go to the external fluid bed, to the cyclone, to the back filter, and with the high velocity of the air, you can develop some fire, and after fire you have the good condition to make explosions. Be careful with the direct gas, with the battery, and important point, the auto-ignition, because the powder and more the lactose can crystallize when you stick, and the powder composition, the thickness and the exposition time we have to take for the auto-ignition. The stickiness, you have to reduce, of course, the stickiness, because be careful due to the exothermicity of the lactose, which is close to 90 joules per gram. Just to explain, I don't know exactly in the spread dryer, but in a crystallizer, when you crystallize the lactose in the crystallizer, you can increase close to 30 to 50 degrees Celsius during the crystallization. So it is very high exothermicity of the lactose. A comment, because a lot of people think that it's more easy, sorry for the name, easy to make fire with a sweet whey and lactic acid whey, but be careful that in the skim milk powder, we have more amorphous lactose, 50% compared to 50% compared to the amorphous lactose that you can obtain in the whey and permeate between 15 to 20. So when you stick skim milk powder, you increase the risk to make fire and explosion. Example regarding to the layer, so the auto-ignition depend on the layer thickness and the time. Just to explain, these data are very known normally. It is on whole milk. A layer of milk of 1 centimeter of thick can init at 200 degrees Celsius only after 8 minutes. Okay, so be careful with the state of the roof, and you have to be sure that the roof is cold, because it's possible to reach this value if you have a bad cooling of your roof, and if you stick, of course. And a layer of 8 centimeter can auto-init at 115 degrees Celsius, no more than after 14 hours. So different factors affect the temperature of auto-ignition, of course. More the thickness, the layer of the thickness increase, more the time increase, more the particle size decrease, more the temperature of auto-ignition decrease. And of course, more you are fat, more the temperature of auto-ignition decrease. So you can find a lot of data in different books that you have in this slide. So now we have to try to fight the fire and the explosion. So there exists different methods of detection. For example, temperature sensor in chamber, internal fluid bed, external fluid bed, the CO detection. For the explosion, it's the same. We have different methods of detection by detecting the dynamic pressure, the optical at different points of the installation. And of course, we have some method to avoid the blast effect. So maybe it is the last slide. It is important to control at different points the air disperser, the chamber roof, the air heating, the air filtration, the earth connection, the spraying systems, the recirculation of the fine. Be careful with this part, and you have to check every time the system, the cooling disperser. Okay, so you can find a lot of data in different books that you have the picture, but don't forget that an explosion can kill. It can kill colleagues, so you have to be careful. So just to conclude, if you want to improve the dairy powder, you have, from my point of view, you have to increase your knowledge in dairy and food science. You have to increase your knowledge in dairy and food process. And after, you have to work in different process and product interaction. Whatever that you work in a laboratory, that you work in university, and you work in industrial plant, if you want to improve the quality of the powder and if you want to reduce the energy costs, you have to work on process, on product. So obrigado, and just to say that my presentation is available for you if you want. Obrigado, and thank you again.
Thank you, Pierre. We have some questions for you, but we'll send to you the question. This fire that you, when you were in Brazil, Ítalo and I, we was in a dairy plant almost to have fire. You remember that?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And don't hesitate to send me questions, and I will give you my presentation, no problem. And thank you again. Yes, I am just on time.
You the Leandro question later.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.